Hi, and welcome to another edition of SYCL 360. It's my pleasure to be here today with Dr. Rob Nerenz, Assistant Director of Clinical Chemistry at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center. Rob, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And it's our pleasure to have you here to talk about the new SYCL Mentoring Connections program. So can you please tell us why did we have this program started?
Sure. So I think the thinking behind it was that we acknowledge that many of us are blessed to have a number of really supportive mentors with diverse backgrounds, diverse skill sets, but many, particularly young people in the clinical chemistry field, just don't have those resources to turn to. And when you compare our field, which is relatively small, particularly if you're looking at people working in the academic hospital environment, many pathologists can turn to other pathologists who have been through many of the same things that the young trainees are going through and can provide advice. And for many chemists, we're typically the only ones at our institutions, and so we don't have ready access to some people who can provide kind of career advice. So we thought it would be a natural initiative for SYCL to kind of foster some of these connections. Can we take people who are either very established in the field, kind of moderate mid-career, and put them in touch with either fellows or young faculty to provide some of these mentoring opportunities.
And so mainly your targets are then those fellows or young trainee members for the mentees, and for the mentors, you said it's going to be individuals who are more senior level. And is the focus going to be more on the clinical side? Are you targeting members from different industry or any other areas of UCC?
So really now the primary focus has been on the academic medical center type PhD background. But I think now we're trying to branch that out a little bit and add to that the PhDs who want to go into industry, some of the CLS, non-PhD, non-doctoral type candidates. Because we recognize that while many of the PhD backgrounds need mentoring, a lot of other groups also need mentoring, right? So I think really it's open to any AACC members who fall within kind of the SYCL age group, less than 40, as a mentee. And then on the mentor side can be anyone who feels like they can provide useful mentoring advice, right? So mid-career or even late career or even retired.
And how do you intend to pair individuals as mentors and mentees? Is it based on interest or is it random?
No, so it's really based on a number of different things. And we have a series of questionnaires, well, really one questionnaire for mentor, one questionnaire for mentee. And we ask, what types of questions do you have? What type of career are you looking for? More academic, clinical lab, more industry, and then what's your geographical location, right? What types of communication methods do you prefer? Do you prefer to meet in person, via email, over the phone, over Skype? And we try to take all these things and find a connection that's going to be successful, right? So it's a lot of different variables that go into it.
Nice. And how much time commitment does this require on the part of the mentor and the mentee?
We encourage about once a month, or certainly more than that. But I think what we really strive for, let's say, is to have the mentor-mentee pair work out what works best for them. We didn't want to impose these kind of artificial requirements to say, you've got to meet every Friday at noon. Let's find something that's beneficial for both sides.
And you've already piloted this, I heard. So how did that go? How was that process? Can you tell us a little bit about the program?
Yeah, so it went really well. We had 4 mentor-mentee pairs, and we'll hear from some of them at the end of this video. But the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Everybody really enjoyed their participation. I think it was beneficial for both the mentor and the mentee. So because of the really positive feedback we got from the pilot, we're now going to expand.
And I heard that you already had much more people sign up as both mentors and mentees at the annual meeting this year. So we're already seeing this expansion happening, correct? So
absolutely. We've had a great response so far. We have more than 20 mentors and more than 20 mentees. So we already have a nice pool to match from.
And hope it continues to grow.
No, and certainly we hope it continues to grow, because the more people we have in each pool, the better the matches we can make.
So, and we also have Dr. Shajani Yee, Nicole Corpy-Steiner, and Judy Stone, who will be discussing their experiences as being part of the pilot program in the next video. But watch till the end if you want to know how to sign up to be part of the SYCL Mentoring Connections.
And so when you first sat down with Jennifer, did you have kind of a sense of how you could be useful to her in terms of what types of things you would talk about, or did it just kind of evolve over time?
So I think that they proposed candidate mentors and mentees to match up, and I think we had an initial phone call, and I kind of said to her, you know, this is what my experience has been. I've worked at a range of different hospitals, and my orientation has been more on service and education than on research. So if you're looking for someone to rocket start your research career, I'm the wrong mentor for you. So yeah, there was definitely, I tried to say, this is what I feel like I have, you know, where my experience has been, where I could try to provide some advice that comes only from experience, right? Not everything you can read about.
Sure.
So that fit with what she was interested in. She said that was okay. So, and then after that, mostly we didn't have an agenda. I felt very much that the thing for me to do was just to try to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And she then, fairly shortly afterwards, we started talking. She was looking for jobs, and I think that's particularly a time when it can be helpful. I know my mentors were real helpful to me in terms of what do you ask for with a salary, you know, what do you ask for a research budget, all that type of things that I might otherwise, I don't know whether I would have been too aggressive or too mild, but it's helpful to have a little guidance on that.
Excellent. So in terms of people who might be considering participating next year,
Yep.
Do you have any words of advice that you would give to prospective mentees or mentors?
Well, I would say for mentors, you might think, well, what's in it for me? Or I have a very busy schedule. Why should I participate in that? Like I said, mine and Jennifer's might not be the universal experience, but it was definitely not a big burden to do that. I think two things that I could think of that aren't just the norm, which is that, you know, you feel like you want to give back to the profession, right? We all have that. It's a bit of a cliche. I think that it also gives you the opportunity to look back at your own career and say, you know, maybe some episode or some issue that somebody's having, you might reflect on it and have a different perception. Like maybe you thought it was a disaster. It wasn't as much of a disaster, or maybe you thought you really killed it, but in fact you realized that probably there was someone, you know, who helped you out that you didn't necessarily recognize. So I think it does give you that opportunity for reflection, and also for me it was nice to have that window. We do have a fellowship program at UCSD, but I think just to give a wider perspective of what's going on with people of a younger generation in clinical chemistry. So, and I mean, can you ever have too much networking? I'm not the most social network person. I don't do social media, but I've gotten 3 jobs out of going to local AACC section meetings. So, you know, what could be bad about having a wider network of people to interact with?
Well, excellent. What words of advice would you have for people who are considering participating, either on the mentor side or the mentee side? Either words of encouragement, or really anything you think that people might want to know?
Sure. I would first encourage folks to sign up. It truly is a valuable experience, I think, for both mentor and mentee. I know I've certainly enjoyed it. Like I said, it's wonderful to watch someone progress in their career, and I think it's going to be even more of a value in that you're my colleague, then we can collaborate in the future as well, and we're already collaborating.
Yeah.
So I think this benefits for both.
Yeah, no, I would definitely recommend it. I think being paired up with the right mentor is really important. So I think what's good is there was actually a questionnaire, sort of what you were looking for, what type of guidance you were looking for. So I think when I was paired up with Nicole, they took that into consideration, and that was really great. I had great mentors within my institution, but I think it's really valuable to have a mentor outside of the institution, just because it gives you a different perspective of how things are not necessarily the same everywhere, and it's good to have somebody to talk to. I highly recommend it. I mean, for me, I think it was one of the best things about
It's
being
been a lot
clinical
of fun.
chemistry.
Yeah.
So.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you both for your time and for sharing your thoughts.
All right, so Rob, would you mind explaining to us then how do you sign up to become a mentor or a mentee?
Sure. So it's very easy. You go to the AACC page, go to the SYCL subsection, find the Mentoring Connections header, and as we mentioned, there are the two different profile forms, one for mentee, one for mentor. Takes about a minute to fill out. It's just going to ask a few questions about your geographical location, your interests, what you want to talk about with either your mentor or mentee, preferred method of communication. So fill out the form and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone for watching.